Boom! Welcome back to the Second American Revolution. My name's Gabe the Great. Let's get straight into it today. All right, guys. Today I want to talk about how we need a neutral law and not a neutral government. Right now, what we have is a neutral government. So you guys know that I really began getting political, coming online and really radicalizing after my daughter got abused by her special education teacher, right? So my daughter is nonverbal and autistic, right? So it means that she can't speak. She doesn't have, she can use gestures, some sign languages, but she's nonverbal and obviously autistic. So when she goes to school, she's in, the special education class, life skills class is what they call it up here. And I found out she was part of this special education class for 3 years, from kindergarten to second grade. And I found out a week before her, was it a week before her second grade year? Because she's in third grade now. Yeah, it was a week before her second grade year. We found out that her her special education teacher had been abusing her. And the way we found out is that 7 educational assistants, so 7 people who work in the classroom, they called me and let me know, we have seen your daughter get abused. We've seen her be illegally restrained. We've seen her be illegally secluded. We've seen all the kids get illegally restrained and secluded, but your kid gets it the worst. For whatever reason, they gave me some reasons why your kid gets it worse than anybody else. And one of those reasons was because this teacher who would abuse the other kids, my daughter would stand up to this teacher. And so, like I said, my daughter is nonverbal, but she does have ways of letting anybody who has an autistic child knows that they have ways of letting you know when they don't like stuff, like anybody. So she'll go, that's hers. And for whatever reason, she's really good at hitting the exact sound wave that really pierces your ear. And so when she sees you doing something that she doesn't like, or that, it's wrong, she'll call you out. I mean, look who her daddy is. And so the teacher would put her in solitary confinement. There was this thing that she called the roundy round. And what the roundy round is a space divider. And she would take my daughter into the roundy round inside the space divider, 48-inch space divider, 48 inches high. And they would seclude my daughter in it to where she couldn't put her arms out. And she would just make her sit in that thing and just cry in darkness, right? And the EAs, again, 7 eyewitnesses came to me and says, we've seen this, she's done this. Your daughter used to have to spend all day in there. I have 1,000,001 questions. Why didn't anybody tell me? What do you mean this has been happening every day for 2 years? And they tell me, we're not allowed to tell any of the teachers anything. We're not allowed to tell any of the parents anything. The teacher will not allow us. I've never seen your daughter's IEP. I don't know what's on it. I don't know what we're supposed to be doing. We've never been trained. We are, as one person described it, we are literally just trying to keep them alive for a few hours. And so I'm finding out about all this government corruption, all this school corruption, directly from the eyewitnesses. And I say, well, why have you guys told anybody? And it says, yes, we've been telling multiple principals for multiple years. There's a new principal here every other year. We've told every single one. 7 of us even told the superintendent. They had an investigation, and everyone who told on the teacher got fired, transferred, or was forced to resign, because they just didn't handle it. They were just trying to get us to be quiet. Very, very, 1930s, a total, authoritarian government control. If you speak, you'll lose your job. These people did lose their jobs for speaking up about these special needs children. So I find out, right? And again, what everybody says is go get a lawyer. Again, guys, we are in a revolution right now. And in the midst of chaos, you have to see through what got us into the chaos. Everybody says go get a lawyer, and initially I did, but something in my gut said don't use this lawyer. And the reason why my gut said it was because I remember I had the check. I tell the story all the time. I had the check in my hand, 15 minutes. Her office closes in 15 minutes. I got the retainer check in my hand. I get to her office and something in my gut says don't do it. I text my girl. I'm like, I don't feel good about it. And she's like, just wait. The next day I had a protest schedule. One of the people there at the protest had used this attorney in the past. Come to find out, this attorney would take backroom deals with the school district, because everybody was telling me, oh, use this. All the, like, I talked to other, like, I would say the elites of our town. They said, use this lawyer. Oh, this lawyer has experience suing this school district. Like, you'll be great here. Now, in my head, I'm like, wait a second. If you have experience suing this school district, why have I never heard of a lawsuit? Right? Why have I never heard of any? Because if I have a special needs children, and everybody's telling me this lawyer has sued this school district multiple times over these type of things, why have I never heard about this? Because if I would have heard about that, I would have never took my child to the school, right? Right? Doesn't that make the most sense? So in my head, I'm like, wait, something's up with this, right? Something's not right. So I don't use that lawyer. So I decide to go pro se. I go, wait a second. What? This is black and white. Like, this is 2023. This is back in 2023. I'm like, we have Google, we have AI, we have like I can get online and read the law. I can get online and read the courts of, like, okay, I'll just do it myself. So I wrote a 106-page complaint, got dismissed, got sealed, right? But that's now in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. I appealed it. It's now in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. And so I got that. And so, but then after that, I have my custody hearing. I have a custody hearing during all this, right? Because me and my ex at the time, she tried to use this as an opportunity to get custody of the kids. Well, hey, why don't the kids move? She had just moved like an hour away for no reason, right? She just wanted to get away. She literally said it in court. I just wanted to get away from wanting to do something for myself. And so she says, hey, why doesn't the kids come move up here? And I'm like, well, why would the kids? I have a 4-bedroom house. I have a partner. We have a 2-bedroom home. We got 2 dogs, big backyard. This is where, why would they just, because, wait, so you want me to give up custody because the teacher abused somebody? Or the teacher abused our daughter? Like, no, I'm not just going to give up custody, right? So we got this custody hearing, right? So now we're in this custody hearing. Lo and behold, the judge is an attorney for the school district I'm suing, right? So of course I lose custody of my kids, get put on child support, right? That's now in the Oregon Court of Appeals. I just argued that last 2 months ago. That was back in March. A couple months ago. I just argued that back in March, right? And so I say all this about having a neutral law. We want a neutral law, not a neutral government. It's because now I got this other litigation where now I'm suing someone else. As you guys know, I was a part of the International Christian Churches. And so with the International Christian, it's a cult. And so what happens in an International Christian Church is, or the ICOC, or ICOC, ICC, RCW, because I think they go by Restored Church Worldwide now. I'm suing them too. What these guys do, this is a criminal organization that hides behind the guise of Christianity. Because, as I say, Christianity is nothing but spiritual narcissism, right? It's why it's the religion with the most fraudsters, why it's the religion with the most sexual abuses and cover-ups, like in our country. In our country. Yes, I know the Christians want us to talk about what happens in Muslims countries and da-da-da-da. I don't care. I'm not in those countries. I'm in this country. In this country, we know that the most fraudsters, the most con artists, the most, like, it happens every day. We get something new out of the Christian church, some scandal, right? And it's because of spiritual narcissism. The basis of Christian religion is I'm right, you're wrong. my God is right, your God is wrong. There's no moral, ethical consistency, right? So what happens is someone like me, millions of people like me, we go to these churches, we go to these groups seeking truth, seeking purpose, seeking whatever. And so I get a part of the church, work my way up in leadership, because it works like a corporate structure in these churches. I find out all this criminal activity. I find out the money's not going where we say the money's going to. I'm finding out that like some of these ministers, like they want to commit suicide or they want to unalive themselves. Hopefully my video doesn't get demonetized now. I'm finding out that like all these things are going on behind the scenes. Like there's all these preachers have these sexual sins and everything. Like I'm finding out all this stuff, and so I leave. So I leave and I call the stuff out. Well, they immediately go on this defamation campaign and they order everybody in the church to cut me off, to not talk to me. They spread these lies that I was being sexually illicit with members of the church while I was leading the church. Like they made up all these lies about me, right? And they continue. So we've been calling them out recently. So I'm calling them out, and so they tried to do it again. So now I'm 9 years, 10 years removed. I'm not the 19-year-old kid anymore. Like y'all not just gonna talk about me like this, and I'm not gonna do something. So now I got a lawsuit with that. For this defamation campaign they keep engaging in. And what I'm learning through all these different litigation situations is that the position of the court is neutral, right? Which is counteractive to how the general public thinks about the court. How the general public thinks about the court, when we think about the court, we think that, hey, we're going to go in there, we're going to show facts and evidence, and the judge is going to be reasonable and look over our stuff and come to a resolution. It's not what happens. What we don't understand is how we got the current legal system we got. How we got the current legal system we got is through state bar associations. Right? So right now, in every state in the country, you can't practice law, right? You can't represent another person. You can't engage with the courts unless you're a member of the state bar. And then the state bar requires you to have a bachelor's degree, to, get a law degree. Well, the law degree requires you to get a bachelor's degree, but you got to get a law degree and you got to pass the state bar exam, right? So there's like qualifications to practice law, and then there's qualifications for the qualifications to practice law, and then there's qualifications for those qualifications, right? So there's all these things just to what? Just to engage with the court. Just to engage with the government part of the body that can adjudicate civilly. That's the civil institution. The civil institution, the way we resolve disputes in the United States of America, it is behind this elitist structure. And then on top of the elitist structure, they make it elite. And then they go, hey, listen. Yes, in order to engage with the court, you got to follow all these rules. Or you either A, got to be a lawyer, or you got to know all the rules and everything, all the knowledge of a lawyer. And all a lawyer is just someone who knows all the different rules. And they don't know all the different rules and procedures. They just know where to look. They just know where to find all the different rules. Because there is no lawyer who knows the law. The law has been loaded down over the years through elitist ideology like state bar associations, which in one sense, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we need to dismantle state bar associations, but the state bar needs to get more engaged with the general public. The state bar associations should also be educating the general public and not just hiding everything behind the state bar and just go get a lawyer. That's why it's go get a lawyer, because your courts are loaded down by all these procedural rules because of something called legal formalism. What legal formalism is this idea, right around the time that all these state bars in the, late 19th century, early 20th century, that all of these things started forming. Legal formalism is the idea that the law works like a science and not an art, and that judges are just mechanical instruments, that if you follow procedures, you will get to the right outcome. So the idea is, if you follow the rules, if you follow certain procedures, you will get the right outcome. That's legal formalism. Again, get someone who practices law, get legal experts to give you a more deeper, richer understanding. But here's the wild ass part about this. Some of the framers and founders of this ideology never practiced law themselves. Like they weren't lawyers. They just taught law at like elite institutions like Harvard. It's all elitism. And with like all elitism in the United States of America, it's all about protecting rich, wealthy white men, right? So a lot of these state bars what they were also doing were trying to exclude women. It was a way for them, because what they would do is say, well, hey, you need upstanding moral character to be a part of the bar, and black people don't have upstanding moral character, because it was basically the thought of that day was that if you were black, you didn't have good character just by virtue of being black. And so the state bar, these bar associations, these law associations used to prevent black people from becoming lawyers solely because of their blackness, but they would hide behind rules, statutes, procedure, like, well, you have to have a good upstanding character, right? This is why they say the devil's in the details. This is why, like, when you have elite organizations, they have so many details. Because good faith, you're not here to get in in the weeds. When you get into the weeds, you'll handle that in good faith, right? But so basically, the other thing you got to understand that, and this is where the Trump administration is really going to push, is that our courts, because of all these rules and procedures, the idea is that the courts are neutral. So this is why you have to move the court. This is why you have to make motions. The idea is that the court is immovable, it's impartial, it does not get involved in human life. That's the idea behind freedom. The idea behind freedom is that I want the government out of my life. Again, what evil people do is they mimic truth. They take elements of truth, they borrow that for their own selfish desires. So yes, what we want, we don't want the government completely out of our lives. And the reason why we don't want the government completely out of our lives is because if we do not have government to deal with the bad guys, we have to deal with the bad guys ourselves. So it puts us in a perpetual state of being uncivil, and we're never able to be safe. We're never, and on top of that, just think about the function of society. Where are the roads? Where are the laws? Where are the agreements? Like, it's not that we don't want the government in our lives. That's not the truth of the matter. We just want the government in the background. We want the government to be clear, right? And we want the government in the background. When we need the government, we want the government to act. And when we don't need the government, we don't want the government involved. But right now what we have is a court system that goes, hey, the court is immovable. The court is impartial. The court doesn't do anything. And so you got to move the court. You got to motion for the court. Hey, I want to move the court to do this. The court needs to do that. We don't want a neutral government. We want a neutral law. We want the law to be neutral. So if the law says this is what defamation is, we want the government to come in and say, hey, that's what defamation is. So because you violated that, you need to do this, right? If what I've learned through going through through writing the complaint, through this lawsuit, through these other custody situations, what I've learned through all these legal things is that you literally have to go into the government and say, government, Here's what happened. Here's what you're supposed to do. Here's what you need to do. Like, you have to tell the government what to do. Like, that is the nature of court. And it's very, I don't think people understand it, because the average person doesn't engage with the legal system. When I say you have to tell the government what to do, to the minutest little detail. Literally, our legal system is in such a where you have to say magic words. You have to go into the courtroom and you have to say words in a certain way. And if you don't say words in a certain way, then the other side will get to say, hey, well, the government, you're infringing upon my freedom. You're infringing upon my freedom. Well, wait a second. The whole reason we're here is because they're accusing you of infringing upon their freedom. That's the idea. The idea is you infringed upon their freedom. Now the government has to step in to deal with it, because y'all couldn't resolve this out here. Yes, the government has to impose upon everybody's freedom right now, because y'all couldn't resolve this out without government intervention. And so the logic of the court, of this neutral court, this neutral court, or this neutral government that doesn't do anything, is stupid. It's why I say, I have other videos where I talk about, where I say, hey, we just need to we just need to have AI judges. And the reason being is because if you actually believe in legal formalism, then it doesn't make any sense for humans to be in that position. It doesn't make any sense for humans to be judges, because the idea is that judges are just supposed to be mechanical. Judges aren't supposed to be human. Okay, cool. Legal formalism, AI. Period. You give the bots the rules, but if we did that, the AI wouldn't just side with the elites all the time. The elites would not be able to manipulate. So number one, I think this legal system that we got right now is ass. I think we need to get rid of it. But if we keep it, the major reform that would get so many of us so much justice overnight is putting AI in the courtroom. Move the judges, because legal formalism, once you understand the basis of how we got to this place and legal formalism, then you will understand why the conclusion of legal formalism is get rid of human judges and get machine judges. That may scare you, but that scares the elites more, because with human judges, you can bribe. With human judges, you can make the dumbest arguments in the world, and the human cannot stop itself from being human. You like you see what I'm saying? Like an AI can go, that is a ridiculous argument that has no merits. I'm not gonna deal with it. But a human being is gonna go, well, we gotta consider this. We gotta let them consider. This is all that the Trump administration is doing and has done for the past decade. They weaponize the humanity of the legal system, while out of their mouths going, the courts can't do this. The courts are supposed to be immovable. The courts aren't supposed to tell us what to do. We are supposed to tell the courts. And that we are supposed, the courts, but inside, they're making the most ridiculous arguments, because they know that the human judge has to consider it. If you have an AI judge, everybody submits all this shit by a certain day, and on that day, boom, the procedural shit is decided. Bro, let me tell you how stupid our legal system is. I am in a defamation case right now, and I don't mind talking about this stuff, because I now understand you cannot go to the American judicial system and get justice. It's not possible. It wasn't built for justice. It was built to protect power. These state bar associations, all these rules of procedure, it's just like, no lawyer knows all the rules. When you hire a lawyer, all the fuck they're gonna do is go get on Google or Westlaw AI and then go figure out what bro, that's all the fuck they're gonna do. All you guys are doing are paying people who have just Googled something a bunch of times, so now they know how to Google it. Now they know how to write it. They just have a bunch of templates. You're paying someone $200 to $500 an hour for templates. Yes, the most elite, oh, they're wordsmiths. They can make the most ridiculous arguments, yeah. But most of us, we're just paying a bunch of money for someone to use Google and spreadsheets and templates. You can't go to the judicial branch to get justice because it wasn't built for justice, right? That's the core issue with the judicial branch. So, bro, but going back to what I was saying, I am in a defamation case right now, guys. I'm not joking. I'm in a defamation case where a person has alleged that I am obsessed with their wife, that I've been cyber stalking them and cyber stalking their wife. Mind you, in a separate court case less than 2 weeks earlier, both this person and their wife testified that I had not had any communication with either one of them in 10 years. I have on the complaint a text message from the person accusing me of being obsessed with their wife, saying, Gabe, I know you're not obsessed with my wife. I have the date of the text message. I have the time that it was sent of this person explicitly saying on a Wednesday, I know you're not obsessed with my wife. And then on Friday publishing, he's obsessed with my wife. We've been in court for 2 months. Why? Why? Why does that take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Why? That's stupid. It's stupid. It's just stupid. And here's the crazy part. Here's the crazy part about this. What is the most likely outcome? The most likely outcome is that the judge is going to find some type of way. This is in my experience. I'm not saying this particular judge, but in my experience with the United States legal system, and everybody watching this and lawyers know this, when a judge is dealing with 2 pro se litigants, they're going to find a way to get that case dismissed in the early phases, or that they want to. Because in the United States government system, you have to move the court. You can't just go to the court and saying, hey, court, they did this, do something, right? Even if you do it, you have to do it the right way, underneath the right procedure, in the right document. And if you can't combine documents, and like, bro, I've had a judge tell me, like, I can't tell from the context what you mean by defamation. And then in the next paragraph go, but that may be an opinion. How can you tell if something is an opinion if you can't tell from the context what defamation means? You would have to apply some type of legal analysis to determine whether or not something is defamation or an opinion. Like, bro, like, what are we, like, it's not justice. And it's fine. It's like, this is just what it is. It's not fine. It's fine in the sense of, like, I'll go through it because that's what we have. But it's like, at what point do we go, this doesn't make any sense? This is why when people go like, oh, go get a lawyer, or, oh, don't talk about your case. For what? I can't get justice from the court. I talked about this with my daughter's case. The only thing the United States government can give a nonverbal autistic daughter is money. My daughter doesn't understand the concept of money. Give her $1 trillion. Maya Bella does not give a fuck about money. This is what I'm saying. We don't have a just society. We have a society that is bent towards elitism, that is bent towards greed, that is bent towards worshiping money, where the government just sits there and lets you take advantage of people. That's what we have. This is like, at some point we gotta go, yo, the fraudsters, con men, corrupt, the PDFers, the rappers, right? With the long game, the rappers with the long game. Like, The reason why these guys being successful is not a bug, it's a feature of our country, because we have a government that is neutral. I don't want a neutral government. I want a government. It's very simple. I say this all the time. I'm so sick of people on the left and people on the right going, we're going to be tough on crime. The government should have one take on crime forever. The government's take on crime should be this: don't get caught or I'm going to fuck you up. That should be the government's take on crime for the rest of human history in every country, everywhere. Any government whose take on crime is like, don't get caught or I'm going to fuck you up, is not a government for the people. It's not a democratic government. There's no other way around it. There's no being tough on crime. There's no such thing as being tough on crime. You're the fucking government. That's what you fucking do. The only reason we pay taxes is so you can deal with crime. Fuck up the criminals or get the fuck out of the way. Because there are people alive who would fuck up criminals. There are people alive today who would fuck up the rapists. There are people alive today who would make sure that the bad people of society get their due. What? Get out of the way so we can just put those people in power. Right? Like, it's not like a... But our fear of revolution, our fear of self-actualization, and really our fear of the illusion of their power. I keep telling you guys, this is 4K. Donald Trump is 4K. He is not smart. He is not handsome. He is not charismatic. He is not a great leader. 4K. That is how the United States of America is going to come to its end. Exactly 250 years. By Donald J. Trump. Why? Because we have a neutral government that just sits there and just lets shit happen until somebody can come and out-argue the bad guys. And that's all it is. You have to out-argue the bad guys. You have to go... They need somebody who's going to jump through all the hoops that they created to keep people like me from getting justice. This is what Donald Trump knows. There's too many procedures to stop him. I've explained this. If I steal from you today, if I steal $1 million from you today, to get that $1 million back, you got to go through so much procedure and you got to spend so much money. And if it's a civil thing, even in the year or two it takes for you to get the freaking order, bro, inflation by itself made that 1,800,000. You can't have a government this slow. The government can't be neutral. When bad guys act, the government must be quick to act. If you're going to put humans in the courtroom, let them be humans. If we're not going to have humans in the courtroom, then put AI in the courtroom, because humans are a lesser version of AI. If you want a mechanical thing that's going to follow procedure, artificial intelligence. Get the humans out of the courtroom, get AI in. I do not need months. We do not need to jump through a bunch of procedural hoops for 7 eyewitnesses to go into the government to go, she did it. And those people helped her. Do you understand that started in 2021? It's 2025. The only reason why none of those children have justice is because of all the procedures. because of a neutral government, a government ideal that just says, hey, we're not going to do anything. There is no left in America. That's the wild part. This is why I'm saying you have to get more radical. There's no left in America. There is right and center. There's no left. There's no left. That's the wild part. Donald Trump got all these people mad at the left. There's no left. You have a government that's not involved in your life right now. That's why your life sucks. Your life sucks because all the people who are messing up your life are teaching you to be mad at the government, that the government's involved in your life. They're defunding the Department of Education, telling you that they're getting you to hate your children when the Department of Education is not allowed to have anything to do with your school's curriculum. That was decided by the wealthy people in your city. That was decided by your school board. But yeah, we don't want a neutral government. We want a neutral law. We want the law to stay still, and we want an active government. We want the law to, and what I mean by stay still is, I don't want the law to change just because you rich, or just because you white, or just because you a man, or just because you got connections. We want a neutral law. If we're going to keep legal formalism as pretty much our basis and as our standard, the natural, most logical, most efficient conclusion is AI. But I guarantee you, proponents of legal formalism will oppose AI, because AI is going to expose the roots of what they were, which they were just trying to protect elitism. All right. Love you guys. Bye.